Hi, this is just a short video to cover some of the highlights of the Family History WA website. You can see that I'm not logged in, and so we're going to cover the stuff that's open to everybody, the public stuff on the website. We'll handle the members-only features in a separate video. So let's start with news, and the Society issues a monthly newsletter called e-news to let everybody know what's going on, what events are and all the major happenings, and then we store a copy of it here on the website so that you can keep up to date with the latest news that we're sharing with the Society. If we go to the resources section, now I want to point out the way these menu items work. Library and catalogue services underneath doesn't mean there's nothing in library. You have to click on library to see what's there. It's a little bit tricky. All right, so there's quite a lot of information on the library page about how the library works, new books, Edwina's blog. Well worth checking out that page before you go to the catalogue. Now, our catalogue, Koha, is online and open to the public. So anybody can check with what resources we've got in the library. You just can't see them until you come in to visit us. Now, just want to point out a few of the highlights because we've catalogued just about everything, right? So if I type in early days, which is the Journal of the Royal West Australian Historical Society, you'll see that I get, there we go, 328 hits. Now, not all of those are to do with the journal. Some of them are other things where early days gets mentioned, like this Kalgoorlie thing. So if I now click on journal articles over here, we will now restrict it to just journal articles, okay? So there's 296 articles that we've indexed on our site to explain to you what's in the early days journal. And it dates back a long way, right? Here's one from 1951, here's one from 1938, all right? So our coverage of journals is extensive. We've got a lot. Now, they haven't all been indexed, but a number of the key ones have been indexed. So something else I want to point out to you, let's just type in Cornwall, all right, in England. A lot of people come from there. They're interested in researching their ancestors in Cornwall. And we've got 400 results that mention Cornwall in our catalogue. What I want to point out to you is the CD-ROMs that are in our EDR, our electronic data repository. So there are 17 CD-ROMs in our data repository about Cornwall. Now you can check out and record the number of one of these, and you can go and search these individually, or you can go into our EDR and you can search all of the 1,000-odd CD-ROMs that are in there, or you can just focus on Cornwall and then search underneath there. So a fabulous resource in our library at May Street that is probably not all that well known. If I point out one more thing to you, at the moment I'm working on a project to put a website up for the West Australian convicts, and one of the gaps that I found is the early burials in Guildford. So I thought to myself, well, let's just have a look at what the library's got on Guildford Cemetery. Let's do a search on Guildford Cemetery. And lo and behold, right, here's a publication here, right? Admittedly, it's not for mine. I'll have to go into the library to look at it. But Guildford burials, 1864 to 1912, just what I want. And Roman Catholic burials at Guildford, 1855 to 1893. So I'm off to the library to check those out. One other thing I wanted to point out before we leave the Koha system is, although our members research everywhere all over the world, we've got material for everywhere, probably with a greater focus on Australia and the United Kingdom. But because we're in Western Australia, we have a bit of a special focus on Western Australia. So we have quite a large West Australian family history section and quite a large West Australian Shire book section. And we've added keywords to all of those books to highlight the main families that are mentioned in those books. So if you pick a West Australian name, and this is one that's in my family, right? It's got 2 S's. So they're not a hugely common name. You'll see that it gets 11 results. So 11 of these books have a significant mention of the Christmas family. And so that'll give you a starting point as to where to look in books for things that are going to reference your family. Now, you might not be able to get to Family History WA immediately, but at least you'll have a list of things. Some of them you might be able to find in your local library. You might be able to pick them up as secondhand books, or you might just store them up for when you happen to visit Bayswater. And if you're not a member, you can pay for a day pass for, I think it's $15. And you can check out all of those books that mention your family, in this case, Christmas. Now, if we move on, I'll shut that down. We'll go back to resources. We've got a number of project sites that teams within Family History West Australia have either built or are working on. 11th Battalion site is about identifying everybody on the photo that was taken on one of the pyramids before that battalion went to war in Gallipoli. The Pensioner Guard site is a fabulous site that's got details of over 2,000 enrolled pensioner guards that came to Western Australia to look after the convicts, and that's been extensively researched, and it's a fabulous resource for people that have a pensioner guard in their family. The WA Army Digital Library site is a growing resource. They're going to be building it for some time because they're scanning all of the material that's been donated to the West Australian Military Library. Now, it doesn't mean that these people were necessarily West Australians, but someone in West Australia had their papers and their photos and their diaries and their letters and has donated them to the military library, and this team is scanning them and putting them up for you to read. So what's there is only a fraction of what they're going to end up with. So have a look at that site and keep your eye on it. Lonely Grave Sites is a little bit clunky to use, but well worth the effort if you happen to find a picture of a grave of someone in your family that was buried in an out-of-the-way place. The WA Convict site is a fabulous resource for all of the convicts that come to West Australia, and we have a separate YouTube video on explaining the WA Convict site. And the Ghost Towns project is Family History WA's contribution to Western Australia's 200-year celebration in 2029. It's a massive project. The team's just getting underway. So they're in the early stages. They don't have a lot to look at on their website yet, but it's going to be an amazing project. We'll talk about data sets for members only in a separate video. Want to spend a short amount of time on Genie links. There's over 1,000 links here to genealogy-related sites that experienced genealogists have put up to think that you should be checking these out. So, and you can look at them in one of two ways. You can look at them geographically, or you can look at them by subject. All right, so one that I just want to mention briefly, which we will do a separate video on, is the Australian Joint Copying Project on Trove. And we've put in an extensive number of links there because a lot of people are not aware of just how much information is available on Trove from the Australian Joint Copying Project, and you can just get it online for free. So we've put a lot there, but we will talk about that more in another video. Should be aware of our groups, our special interest groups. We've got over 20 specialist interest groups, and they've all got a page, and you can check out what they're up to here. What's on? We cover how to book for an event at Family History West Australia in another video, but you can keep up to date with everything that's happening, events that are coming up. In our shop, we have quite a bit on offer. One of the highlights I just wanted to point out to you is that we are selling secondhand Western Australian books. So you might want to check this site out if you're chasing a particular book from Western Australia. And there's a lot of other stuff there as well. There's Australian secondhand books. There's new books. There's all manner of things in our shop. Membership, we cover how to renew your membership at FamilyHistoryWA on a separate video. About us just gives you details about how to get to visit us and how to contact us, and explains that we've got some help videos. And that's about all I wanted to whip through as a quick summary of the website. But have fun.